Welcome to Property Banter by Pinnacle Buyers Agents. My name's Michael Ležaja, and in today's episode, we are talking about Australia's best kept secret, right? We are talking about the Sunshine Coast in South East Queensland, and it is my favourite place. So I am a little bit biased right now. I'm just pre-warning you all. I genuinely believe in it. I just bought my fourth property on the sunny coast, and I don't believe there's anywhere better in Australia to buy. I'm going to break down why I love it, why it's good. Let's talk about some data. Let's have a look at how it's performing. Let's have a look at the infrastructure spend and what's going on, and it is changing. You know what? Baby boomers are retiring. So much is happening. We're going to break it all down in this episode. I hope you enjoy. Over $5 billion going into one project alone on the sunny coast. We have the airport expansion. We have the city centre being transformed. And of course, the one that we mentioned, the $5 billion one, is the wave, right? Which is coming in 3 stages. Now, this is going to transform the way in which the sunny coast looks and feels. It's going to make it more accessible to Brisbane without having to make the drive. It seems to be a very expensive project, so there's a lot of money going in. You know, there have been other rail lines built for a lot cheaper, but obviously cost of construction going up and things happening mean that, things are getting more expensive. But this, not discussing the government's ability to spend money. Let's not go down that path. But let's break this, because my mind was actually, but let's just break down what this means for the sunny coast, why I love it and all of that. Now, the sunny coast, it's had a great, last 5 years? It has performed really, really well. A lot of Melbourne money, a lot of Sydney money coming into South East Queensland. And I noticed that more than anyone on the ground here as a buyer's agent who receives calls from down south, from the Mexicans who are trying to escape. More so, they're the Dan Andrews ones that are trying to escape, that have had enough. Now, we've had, what have we had here? 381,000 people relocate to the Sunshine Coast over the last 5 years. But I don't foresee that stopping anytime soon. It may slow a touch because there was a mass exodus post-COVID of escapees from the city from the city of Melbourne, getting out. But look, I still get phone calls from people constantly talking about, they're going to move in the next year, or when the kids finish school, or they're going to sell their house, they're just going to finish up work, or whatever they have in their personal life plans, they will finish that and then they will move to South East Queensland. I get those phone calls every single day, and it just goes to show that the exodus has, whilst it slowed down and the mass amount that came, during and after COVID, it's going to continue and it's going to trickle through. But also, I believe that's going to be increased or continued on by the fact that there's a lot of baby boomers that are retiring now. And where are they going to go? A lot of them aren't going to want to, stay in Strathfield or wherever in Sydney, right? A lot of them are going to look to move to warmer climates, as historically they've always done. A lot of people move to the Gold Coast and retire. Now, a lot of people move to the Gold Coast and influence, but people love moving to Queensland for the weather and the lifestyle, and it's truly amazing. And as someone who's from New South Wales, I still can't support Queensland in the origin, but I tell you what, I'm more of an advocate for this state than anyone else who's a New South Wales fan, I can tell you now. So, and one of those places is the sunny coast, and a lot of these people from down south, they are coming to the Gold Coast, they're coming to Brisbane, they're coming to the sunny coast, and I don't foresee it slowing down. It's going to continue, especially with these projects. So let's get into the first one. Okay, the first of the projects that we're going to discuss is the massive $5.5 billion rail project, which is called The Wave, that's received state and federal funding. This is massive. This is linking the sunny coast to the main rail line going into Brisbane and Biwa. There's already a train line that runs up north along a lot of the inland, sort of regional, but hinterland parts of the sunny coast. This is actually going to go inwards along the coastline to where a lot of the more populated parts of the Sunshine Coast are. And this project is insane. Let's have a look at this. All right, so looking at the sunny coast there, I mean, this is where, if you have a look at this is where all those house and land packages are popping up now on this south side, right? That's where all the house and land packages are popping up. There's Beerwah, there's the train line. So the train line will go something like this through here. And I think like that, right? Sorry, yeah, like that. So it's going to pass where all those house and land packages are here, Banya, Narimba, Baringa. I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan. Have a look at this. All those new estates, you know, being property investors, we want to be buying on the sunny coast. If you can, purchase properties that are in the older section, in suburbs that are the older sunny coast areas. They're the ones that have a little bit more character, the ones that have the sunny coast feel. This is just another house and land package area. This house and land package would feel like like every other house and land package area. It'll feel just like, you know, Burpengary East, right? And even though that's Brisbane and that's, you know, just a little bit down the road, it's actually very close along the highway. But, you know, if you're going to live here and driving to Brisbane, whatever, but then what's the point of living on the sunny coast if you're here? I don't know. I'm just not a fan. But on the sunny coast, I would always look to buy the more established areas, the areas closer to the coastline, or go hinterland. I wouldn't settle in the middle in one of those areas. Even though the train line's going in, I'm just not a fan of it. It is what it is. But the train line is going to be great for the sunny coast. Stage 2 and Stage 3 going into Maroochydore I believe will happen because, and this brings me to point 2 as to, you know, infrastructure and what's going on. So Walker Corporation, run by Lang Walker, now they're responsible for quite a few massive developments. This isn't a developer from Sydney that builds duplexes or a couple of high-rises. They build entire cities. You know, they've been involved in quite a few projects, and the biggest one that I remember and know of is the one in Rhodes in Sydney. For those of you in Sydney or have been to Sydney or have been to Rhodes, it's absolutely massive. It's shopping centres, you know, commercial, retail. It's got the high rises as well. So this is going to be a huge one. So they're spending $2.5 billion on this high-rise residential towers, mixed-use commercial and lifestyle redevelopment of 57 hectares, right? 57 hectares. This thing's massive. Have a look at this clip here.
53 hectares of land in one ownership is exciting. That's a blank canvas. You've got the opportunity to bring all the cultural and the commercial aspects into one. The activation and the restaurant precinct, water, lakes, running and walking tracks around the lake, and also introducing residential on the fringes of those lakes. This is a massive opportunity. And really the most exciting thing is getting started with something like this. We're starting with the first really groundbreaking office tower for Maroochydore. That'll be the first of many. This is going to be a game changer for the Sunshine Coast.
So massive 53 hectare site in the middle of Maroochydore is going to be developed, and that's going to be that city centre. Now, the original city centre for the sunny coast was Nambour. There's a train line running through Nambour that runs all the way down to Beerwah as well, but it's on the left side of the freeway when you're looking at it, when you're looking at the map, right? When you're driving through it, Nambour's on your left. Now, Nambour was originally meant to be the capital of the sunny coast, but everyone obviously, as Australians do, as humans do, we love the water, and everyone went towards the water side, and then Nambour sort of became this, I don't know, the Penrith of, or the Campbelltown, or the Southport of, this area. And I'm just going to hazard a guess that, you know, if you had to buy something illegal on the sunny coast, you'd probably find it in Nambour, right? I've been to Nambour. I haven't bought anything illegal there, but something tells me you could buy a cast area there, you know what I mean? Or perhaps get your fix. So that being said, not hating on Nambour. I have a property there, but it's been performing fantastic. Like Nambour's absolutely killing it. And yeah, it's fine. But, you know, this is going to be in Maroochydore, this 53 hectare site is going to be the new, you know, main commercial business hub of the Sunshine Coast, and it's massive. And this is where they will, at stage 3, extend the train line to here. But you know what? The stage 3 to Maroochydore, I don't know when that's coming. They're going to do it, but that might not be here by 2032. That might be considerably down the track. And this 53 hectares in Maroochydore is going to be an absolute game changer for the Sunshine Coast, and is going to turn Maroochydore into a little bit more of a concrete jungle, a little bit more of a city, whereas Maroochydore is kind of the city. It's got the shopping centre and all that, but it doesn't have a city vibe. It doesn't have a concrete jungle vibe, but it'll be interesting to see it take place and to see what it eventually comes out as. The Sunny Coast is one of the best kept secrets where it's not like the Gold Coast. It's just a genuine beachside, middle class, great place to raise your family. Now, obviously there's quite a fair bit of wealth there. It's just that a lot of people don't really show it off. You know what I mean? So you could be in Noosa and you could be around people, with a net worth of 50 or 80 million or $100 million, and you wouldn't know it by looking at them. They don't have the sunglasses, with the gold trim, and they don't drive. I've seen a couple of Bentleys, but they don't really drive the Bentleys and the Rolls. And it's not like Sanctuary Cove, Hope Island, fancy Gold Coast. I want to show off. There's just a genuine feel about it. This is one of the reasons I actually love the Sunny Coast as well. Is you see someone that's worth a lot of money, and they just got a regular shirt on. They just drive a regular car. Might be a BMW or whatever, but they're not overly showy. It's super undercover, and it's not about the flex. It's just about a healthy beachside, regular type of place to live. Whereas, Byron's got that little bit of fakeness to it, and Byron's got a bit of everything to it actually. And then Gold Coast has that, I'm cool, I'm influencing, sort of a lot of fakeness in people, their behaviours and so on. Whereas the Sunny Coast doesn't have that. It's just genuine, and it's the place that you'd want to raise your family. It's the place that it's relaxing, it's comfortable, it's less, there's a lot less ego there. And this development, going back to the development, might change that a little bit, might make it that little bit of a concrete jungle. I mean, you look at what's happened with Parramatta, and yeah, I'm not a fan, even though I had an office in Parramatta once upon a time. Just the way in which these places go, I'm just not a big fan. But anyways, that's that. Now, the airport expansion. This is another big one. The Sunny Coast, the amount of flights in and out of the Sunny Coast is considerably less than Brisbane. So you do get cheaper flights out of Brisbane if you're going to Sydney or wherever you're going, because Brisbane's Brisbane, right? It's a larger airport. But the Sunny Coast has needed a larger airport for some time. We do need more flights, and flights are more expensive when you fly out. You try flying out of Sunny Coast last minute and you will get smashed by the airlines. We need to make that cheaper for everyone on the Sunny Coast. Yeah, whereas, Gold Coast, you can get cheap flights. Brisbane, you get cheap flights, but Sunny Coast doesn't seem to have that. This $170 million terminal upgrade hopefully provides that, and there's more flights because the Sunny Coast is getting busier. Another thing, the airport expansion is great, but let's talk about infrastructure on the Sunny Coast already. The Sunny Coast does not have the traffic like the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast has become a little bit of a car park and a little bit more stressful. The vibe there, you feel it. So if you've been on the Sunny Coast and you take a drive to the Gold Coast, there's an instantly different feel. The amount of traffic and just the feel of the place is very, very different. Whereas the Sunny Coast doesn't really have a lot of traffic. There's couple little spots, but in general, it's still very sleepy, very coastal, good relaxed vibe. It's just good energy, and that's obviously going to change in time. Especially with a lot of these developments. But you know what? Buying the right properties in the right locations, and this is the point I'm getting to, being an investment buyer's agent, buying the right properties and setting yourself up ahead of time for what's coming is the point I'm trying to get across in this, whilst giving away the fact that it's literally the best place to be in Australia. Those of you from the Sunny Coast watching this will already know that and probably won't like me sharing this stuff, right? But I firmly believe in it, and I absolutely love the place. So roads and supporting infrastructure, there is some going in. We've got the Mooloolah River interchange and Sunshine Coast Motorway improvements, public transport frequency increases, and the Beer-Byron Rail duplication. We are going to get more congestion in future. It is eventually going to happen. It's one of those things that's happening everywhere. Sydney, when I moved out of Sydney in 2016, that place was a nightmare and it was just traffic everywhere. Now you can jump in a tunnel and just end up friggin' on the other side of the city like that. Yeah, you pay a fortune. Sydney-siders get absolutely smashed on tolls. No one on the sunny coast gets smashed on tolls. There's no tolls there. But eventually all of this is going to catch up. So I think if you're planning on moving to the sunny coast, you're going to retire there, which this is the other thing on top of the fact that there's a lot of people relocating from Melbourne and Sydney, but you are having people that are coming into that age bracket in the golden years, and they're looking at, moving, out of Sydney, out of the colder climates, moving to the warmer climates and looking at the sunny coast. And for those people, they want to be buying the right type of properties in closer to the water and things like that. I personally just picked up my fourth one on the sunny coast, and I bought all the way up at Noosa, which doesn't really have any of the traffic besides Hastings, but on a Saturday or Sunday. But in general, that southern section of the sunny coast is where you do get a little bit more traffic. And over the next 5, 10, 20 years, you're going to see more just naturally come about because that's just the way the world's going. Obviously, I've sort of alluded to it because I can't help but take my train of thought back to where to buy and what to do. The big question here is where do you buy on the sunny coast? Right? Where do you buy? What do you buy? What's your price point? Everyone's got a different price point. So I firmly believe you need to be looking for good value for money. The sunny coast, we're going to break it down now. I absolutely love the hinterland. So for anyone who has the hinterland feel, wants an acreage, and if you're moving there to live and you want maybe a couple of chickens, I really want a couple of chickens. This is why this is the first thing I said. But you could have whatever farm animals you want. The hinterland is amazing and it's still affordable. So for $1 million to 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, you can buy such good value for money here, right? Such good value for money, and all this Mooloolah Valley, all the way up, Palmwoods, all the way up here. Nambour's got its own unique charm. I'll let you work that out if you find that the place you want to move to live as an owner-occupier. But a lot of this northern end here, have a look at this. So I am a big fan of Doonan, Yamundi, Yandina, Kuroi, even though I say Kuroi, and that's how you know I'm not from the sunny coast originally. And someone from the sunny coast will correct you, so you call it Kuroi. Black Mountain. These are all amazing spots here, and they're so close to Noosa, right? And if you do want to pick up some acreage there, that'll still be Sunshine Coast City Council. So they're a bit more relaxed with Airbnb and a few other things. If you want to add some dwellings to the property, increase your rental yield. Actually, I've started talking like an investor again. But anyway, if you are going back to being an owner-occupier, if you're looking for places to live under that $1.5 million, those areas are absolutely amazing. If you're an investor, I firmly believe that they're great. I'll tell you why, because I'm currently looking for another one in that area as well myself. So they're really great. Now, if you are an owner-occupier looking to live somewhere, right, the northern end, Tewantin is super cheap. Tewantin is your cheap alternative to paying Noosa, Sunrise Beach, and all that sort of money. Yes, it's right near the water, but it's not next to the beach. You still got to drive. You got a 15-minute drive or whatever you've got. $1.3 million buys you a 422 house with a pool. That to be, the suburb over from Noosa is very, very affordable, and that's a hidden gem. I absolutely rate Tewantin for that, and it's got this country feel, but it's next to Noosa. For that money, value, absolute value. So whether you're an owner-occupier or even you just want to, you've got that budget to spend on an investment property, I think that's good value, and it's performing really, really well. Now, why I love this area and why I just bought mine in Noosa, I believe it's performing double digits, year-on-year double-digit growth. But I think as people retire, areas that aren't getting overdeveloped, that people would want to live in for lifestyle is going to be the big game changer over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. As a lot of people move to retirement, they're going to want to be in areas that are appealing. But yet, why I love Noosa, and this is a pro and a con of Noosa, depends on how you look at it. From a local's perspective, it's a great thing. From an investor's perspective, it's a great thing because they're not actually doing too many developments. You won't actually see high rises in Noosa. It's a very, very small sort of an area in terms of it's not medium or high density. It's just standard residential, really. And they're keeping it that way because they're keeping that charm there. So I'm not overly worried about too much development and too many high rises coming in and all that. And it just maintains that appeal of Noosa. And that's why I firmly believe it's going to continue to perform, because the downsizers and people moving for lifestyle from the southern states will continue propping this market up. And it's a totally different play to the lower socioeconomic, cheaper areas, higher yields type areas that we look at that have low supply and high demand, and we jump in there and we buy, kind of like what Logan was, what it was like in, Gosnells in Perth and all those, typical sorts of investor stock that we buy. This is a different type of play, but it requires more capital. So you've got that northern end of the sunny coast that I absolutely love, but then also when you're going down, let me just zoom out a bit. So you've got that northern end of the sunny coast there, Coolum Beach, Perigian, Noosa Heads, Noosaville to Wanton, fantastic place. It is truly amazing and I love it. And then you got the central sunny coast. Now, Mooloolaba, Badina, Warana, Watala, Curramundi, Dickey Beach, Moffat Beach, that starts to become Caloundra. But this section here, Mooloolaba down to Watala, I absolutely love, right? I absolutely love it. And it's a little bit kind of landlocked. Reminds me a little bit of Perth from the perspective of, there's no construction going on or new land releases in that section there happening right now. And everyone loves being close to the beach, and it's just a great spot. And Badina and Alexandra Headland, Mooloolaba, that is a really nice spot. And not far from Maroochydore, we got the main shopping centre and all of that. So fantastic place to move and live with your family if you're an occupier. But from an investor perspective, this is where the stage 2, stage 3 of the train line is going to be going as well. So when you look at that, looking for down the track capital growth, being well located, having extra infrastructure come in, but yet also being along the coastline on the sunny coast, this is prime middle part of the sunny coast, sort of an area. I believe it's going to perform really, really well. Now, on the southern end, obviously I've already told you I'm not a fan of Banya, Narimba, all of those areas. They are not what we buy as investors. I mean, if you're buying it to live and you like it and so on, it's your money. More power to you. Enjoy yourself. But from an investor perspective, I'd still rather be down Pelican Waters, Golden Beach, Caloundra, or Moffat Beach, all that sort of an area. From an investment perspective, it's already performed a great deal. But over time, this area, I believe, is just continuing to become more populated. It's like the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast is the next market after Sydney that everyone wants to live in, that's taking money to. People from Melbourne and Sydney all moving to the Gold Coast, and it's driving the prices up. And you think, how can the Gold Coast keep going? South East Queensland is number 2 after Sydney. Make no mistake about it. And it's at the point where, Sydney hasn't always been number 1. We have this perception of Sydney always being number 1. That Perth was more expensive than Sydney in 2006. That Darwin was more expensive than Sydney in 2014. We seem to think that Sydney is this just, at $1.6 million, it is the most expensive place you can be. And it's the number 1 in the Australian property market. Nothing can knock it off because you have that perception, right? But in actual fact, there's times in history where other markets have superseded it. They've passed it. And I'm telling you now, South East Queensland is incredibly strong from right now with record low unemployment, lots of infrastructure happening here, but also the fact that everyone wants to live here. I'm one of those. I escaped at one point in 2016 and moved up here. And I'm seeing many people continuing to do that. So I believe the price can move considerably further up. So Sunshine Coast sitting at $1.3 million, Sydney sitting at 1.6 on average, and Brisbane at 1.1 right now. Honestly, I believe Brisbane's got more growth in it and the sunny coast has more growth in it. What's going to be driving that is the lack of supply, but people moving from interstate with money, right? They move here. And then people from the sunny coast and Brisbane and that, they sell up and then they move up. They move to Cairns. Queenslanders move intrastate. They never move back to Sydney. Trust me. I hate even visiting Sydney, right? Right? I hate going down south. I love staying up here. I love the climate. I love this. You don't go back. It's just, it is what it is. So I believe that there's more growth coming, but also over the course of time, it's a good place to invest and put some money. Now, if you want to buy something and you don't have that budget, what do you do? Well, I've got you covered as well. Let's have a quick look. If you want to buy something, but you don't have the 1.1, 1.2, 1.5 to buy a house on the Sunshine Coast, what do you do? Well, you can buy a townhouse for somewhere between $700,000 and $1 million, and depends on obviously where it is. But have a look at this. Here's an example of one. Majimba Beach Road, Majimba, offers above $800,000, under offer. There's Dicky Beach, $891, just sold now, 20th of Feb, right? 3-1. Just to put this into perspective for anyone who can't see this or probably, isn't really looking. The townhouses in Logan, right? To buy a 311 or a 321 in Logan, they're moving towards 800,000 now, right? Right now, they're 800K. This is a 311 for 891. Just pay the little bit extra money and buy Sunshine Coast. It's insane, right? So you're looking at how expensive Brisbane is now in some of those areas, especially in the sub 1 mil. If you can buy sub 1 mil Sunny Coast right now, buy it. It is value for money, and it's only going to get more. Now, a lot of people say, oh, the market's doubled in the last 5 years, and it's not what you typically buy. I'm a firm believer in that as well. I love going to new markets, and anyone that watches my stuff knows we went to Darwin before anyone, went to Melbourne before anyone. We went to Perth 2022. We doubled our money and then some, right? I was purchasing Brisbane properties in the 2010s. We're always ahead of the game. But in general, there's not a lot of places in Australia left that hasn't gone up over the last 5 years, right? So what do? You've got to look at what markets are going to perform for the longer term, and I believe this is definitely one of them. So look, townhouses, get in if you can, buy them. They're your cheaper buy on the Sunny Coast. If you can't buy a house, if you want a house, Tewantin, get you into Noosa, right at the top. Awesome, super quiet, amazing lifestyle. But if you can buy, which you're going to spend some money, but along that rail line, Batinya, Watala, Warana, all those areas I think are fantastic as well. So yeah, try and buy there. But in general, obviously, you can tell I'm biased towards the Sunny Coast. I think it's value for money when you compare it to Logan and Ipswich, because some of the prices that we're getting for property in this area here in the south side of Brisbane, and you can buy Sunny Coast. It's just the writing's on the wall, guys. This market is going to continue performing. But any unforeseen world issues, and the world's an absolute mess right now. Probably always been that way. It's just we notice it more, maybe, I don't know. But in general, there's really not a lot of land to be had in that section of the Sunny Coast on the beach, and that's what's going to continue to drive that scarcity. Stay away from those new land releases. I don't think they're going to serve you. If you are looking for acreage, hinterland all the way up, Yamundi, Karoi, Doonan, these are some amazing spots on the Sunny Coast. So Sunny Coast, population locked in, infrastructure happening, and the constant stream of people from down south looking to buy and live up here. I believe if everyone from down south truly knew how good it was up here, it'd be a $2.2 to $2.5 million average property price up here. I'm telling you now, but a lot of them haven't seen how good it is up here, because a lot of them visit the Gold Coast and they go to Surfers and they go to Burleigh and they don't know how good we've got it on the Sunny Coast. So it's one of the best kept secrets, and if they knew, they'd all be here. But over time, more and more are coming up. And as people move up to the Gold Coast and do a Sunny Coast trip, they see the Sunny Coast is nice too. So it's going to continue to perform. South East Queensland is just going off. That corridor between the Gold Coast and Brisbane is closing as well. Now you've got the rail line connecting the beach side suburbs of the Sunshine Coast going down to Brisbane. It's all going to be connected, and more people are going to look at the Sunshine Coast as an option, as opposed to Caboolture, Burpengary, and wherever else, right? So it's going to continue to perform. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. If you have any more questions about the Sunny Coast, give me a call. I'm more than happy to talk Sunny Coast all day long. It is the best place in Australia, bar none. I hope you got a lot out of this. Please like, subscribe, take a look at our other videos, and until next time, take care.